Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today's the 12th of January, 2018, and I am putting together this rather long video because recently I found myself diving back into 2016, no pun intended, because some of the information that we put out about CERN, about the Gothard Tunnel, and everything involved with that explains more effectively what it is we're looking at right now, if that makes any sense. Now, this is going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I'm going to feature a lot of YouTube videos in this, and one of them is from the Rabbit Hole. I spoke to him. He's done some phenomenal breakdowns on CERN as well as the Gothard Tunnel ritual. I believe the Gothard Tunnel ritual was the elites, the powers that be, the pathetic little scumbags that run the world currently. I believe that was a declaration by them to us that they had indeed found the quantum key to the pit and were getting to unleash this on this earth. This is a supernatural event that we find ourselves in the center of. And the worst thing about it is most people don't even understand this. A lot of people that subscribe to my channel are going to get this. Some people aren't going to get it at all. It just is what it is. At any rate, enjoy. Links will be in the description. I'm out.
Greetings YouTube, and welcome to The Rabbit Hole. Below the ground near Geneva, Switzerland, lies CERN's Large Hadron Collider. CERN, or the European Organization for Nuclear Research, was established in 1954 on the Franco-Swiss border. The organization has 22 different countries in its membership and is home to the world's largest particle collider, known as the Large Hadron Collider. Located 100 meters below the ground, the LHC is 17 miles in circumference and can accelerate particles just under the speed of light. CERN conducts many physics experiments by accelerating particles towards each other in the LHC and then colliding them and studying the results. Ultra-fast cameras record these collisions, and the data is interpreted by computers. In the early 1990s, the World Wide Web was born at CERN as a means of sharing information between computers so scientists around the world could study data collected by the organization. Now, the data collected by the LHC is compiled and sent to labs around the world through an infrastructure known as the LHC computing grid. In 2010, CERN accomplished smashing two particles together in the LHC, a task described as similar to firing two needles across the Atlantic and getting them to hit each other by the LHC's main engineer, Steve Myers. Physicists have been searching for the Higgs boson, an elementary particle and the only missing piece in the standard model of particle physics, for 40 years, until it was discovered by CERN in 2012 and then confirmed to be the so-called God particle in 2013. As a side note, the nickname God particle is misleading and derives from a book titled The God Particle: If the Universe is the Answer, What is the Question? The publishers refused to call it the goddamn particle, which the authors initially intended to exemplify how hard a particle it was to observe. In reality, the Higgs boson is a quantum excitation of the Higgs field, a field believed to exist everywhere in the universe, which gives particles mass through a process known as the Higgs effect. This is the transference of mass or energy to particles passing through the Higgs field via the Higgs boson, which contains the relative mass in the form of energy. As particles take on mass, they become heavier, slowing down and allowing attraction between particles to occur. Simply, the Higgs boson holds matter together and therefore also has the potential to tear matter apart. That said, it seems fitting that CERN has a statue of the Hindu god Shiva, the creator, destroyer, and regenerator, on display in front of their laboratories. CERN says that this deity was chosen because of a metaphor that was drawn between the cosmic dance of the Nataraja and the modern study of the cosmic dance of subatomic particles. In Hinduism, Shiva's dance has two forms. One is the Lasya form of dance, which is gentle and associated with creation, while the Tandaya is violent, dangerous, and associated with destruction. A plaque on the Shiva statue at CERN reads, "In our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics." However, there are many who fear that this statue is actually symbolic of CERN's intentions to rule this world like gods, controlling the dance of life from creation to destruction and through to regeneration. Many have speculated that CERN is the engine behind a satanic New World Order agenda. But could an institution as reputable as CERN be associated with such dark intentions? A strange video surfaced on the web showing what appears to be an occult human sacrifice in front of the statue of Shiva. In the video, we see robed figures walk into the light in front of the statue. They arrange themselves symmetrically. Then one of the figures is disrobed, leaving naked a woman who drops to her knees. One of the figures moves in front of the statue and produces a knife. The woman then proceeds to lie down as the rest of the figures kneel around her. The robed figure with the knife stands over her and appears to stab her. At this point, the cameraman starts running away frantically, cursing until the video ends on a shot of the Large Hadron Collider, revealing that we are in fact inside CERN. The entire video feels staged. The video begins recording moments before the figures enter the shot, as if the cameraman knew what was going to happen. The robes the figures are wearing don't seem to fit properly. You can see their legs sticking out, and it appears that people are wearing shorts or sneakers beneath their cloaks. You would imagine a sacrifice like this would take place in a more secret setting instead of in a well-lit area in plain view of CERN offices.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Again, it's the 18th of August, 2016, and I'm over here at the Daily Mirror in the United Kingdom, and they have a big article on CERN. It says, chilling satanic human sacrifice video spooks scientists working at world's biggest particle accelerator, CERN. And if you scroll down, you'll see they have my video up right here. You've already seen it. And they quote me several times. It says, this mysterious video shows a group of researchers at CERN's Large Hadron Collider staging a chilling, satanic human sacrifice ritual. The footage shows a group of cloaked men gathering in a courtyard around a statue at the facility in Geneva, Switzerland. But CERN has declared that the video was fake and claims that the ritual was simply researchers and scientists coming to work at the facility, taking their sense of humor too far. See, now they've changed it because CERN originally told us it was guests. Now they're saying it's simply researchers and scientists coming to work, taking their sense of humor too far. It goes on to say the facility is home to the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator known as the Large Hadron Collider. Its aim is to allow scientists to test the predictions of different theories of particle physics. It shows another still from my video. It goes on to say CERN first started up on September 10th, 2008 and was built over a decade by over 10,000 scientists and engineers from over 100 different countries. In the clip, there appears to be at least 8 figures, there's 9, standing in the shadows, before one man enters into the center of the group. Moments later, a woman wearing a white dress enters and kneels on the stone floor. The woman seems to lie down on the ground before a man in a cloak approaches with his hands raised above his head. Viewers of the footage speculate the man is holding a knife, which he appears to plunge into the woman's chest before the clip suddenly cuts off. They show another still from the video. In the background, a man recording the mysterious ritual, who also appears to be wearing a cloak, can be heard swearing loudly as he watches the horrifying scene. The video was uploaded to YouTube by Richie from Boston, who wrote, "This is the new footage caught on the grounds of CERN, videotaped from inside the building," which is all totally accurate. And it quotes me saying, if it's real, that's horrible. If it's a staged ritual, that's equally bad.
The official statement about the video is, this video is a work of fiction showing a contrived scene. CERN and its on-site accommodation fills up with scientists from across the world coming to CERN as part of their work. Work at CERN can take place 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with shift work and data analysis. persons that are authorized to access the CERN site sometimes let their sense of humor go too far, and that is what happened on this occasion. The video was filmed from an office building. Strict safety systems are in place to prevent any unauthorized access to technical and experimental facilities. CERN does not condone this kind of spoof, which breaches CERN's professional guidelines and is currently carrying out an internal investigation. While the video seems clearly fake, it is interesting that no security guards came to stop the unauthorized mock ritual. Wouldn't somebody in charge have noticed something as dramatic as a mock human sacrifice happening at the CERN facility? CERN seems pretty calm and sure of the fact that it was someone on the inside who played this prank, but their internal investigation hasn't revealed the perpetrators, at least to the public. Could CERN have authorized the making of this video, possibly to debunk accusations of their occult agenda? If they made a video about an occult ritual that was cheesy enough to be laughed at by the public, it would cast a net of lunacy over those who proposed any theories about CERN's connection with the occult. Let's investigate further. Follow me down. There are other odd connections between CERN and satanic symbolism. CERN's logo is designed based on a synchrotron particle accelerator. One source states, originally, the design was going to resemble the outline of a schematic of a synchrotron, but the problem with that was, CERN's logo would have looked like a black hole. Not good. So what we did with this logo design was remove a couple lines, shorten and angle a line in the opposite direction, off-center it all, then add another circle with a line sticking up to help break up the original design, and that's how CERN's logo came to be. However, these modifications conveniently change the logo into a 666 design. Another interesting connection between CERN and the satanic is that a large part of the facility is located in Saint-Jean-Puy, France. In Roman times, the empire had a territory in this location with a temple in honor of Apollyon, which means destroyer, or Abaddon in Hebrew, which is associated with the bottomless pit. The people that lived there believed the location was a gateway to the underworld. Sounds a lot like a metaphor for the modern CERN facility, which is physically underground and may open doors to other dimensions as postulated by Sergio Bertolucci, who is the Director of Research and Scientific Computing at CERN. In Revelations 9:11, the Bible states, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon." It is interesting to note that this chapter and verse together make 9/11, and at the World Trade Center Memorial Site, which commemorates the attacks on 9/11, we also find bottomless pit symbolism. Also related to the underworld is the Cernunnos, or the god of the underworld in Celtic polytheism. He is depicted wearing horns or antlers, which calls to mind another satanic underground connection in Switzerland.
What is it that CERN's doing? Why is it that they need D-Wave quantum computers? And why all of a sudden are every single top of the pyramid finance company, military company, DARPA, ARPA, everybody, you name them, why are they all investing all of, well, your money into robotics? Why is it that Google went around, or the Alphabet agency, why is it that they went around and bought Boston Dynamics? They bought up every robot, every AI, every factory, every inventor that they could think of. They bought out everybody. Because it's all going to coalesce, okay? Sorry, Anthony, I used a word that you wrote a book about, whatever. It's all going to come together. CERN continues to hammer away at the veil between humanity and spirituality. On the other side of that veil, the spirituality veil, are everything you've ever seen in mythology, every statue you've ever seen in Rome or at the Vatican, every hieroglyphic that the Egyptians went through great pains to carve. Goat-headed men, people with the heads of an ibis, which is a bird, an alligator, three-headed dogs, half man, half horse, so forth and so on. Those myths are actually the forms many of these lowercase g gods take form in. They're real. They were real. They still are real, but we can't see them. What CERN is going to do is break a hole through the veil, allowing these things entry. The D-Wave quantum computer will stabilize this hole. Because imagine you tear a hole through a supernatural veil that separates two parties, humanity, spirituality, things we're not supposed to see, things we're not capable of seeing. Men's hearts will fail from fear. You get it? There it is. You tear a hole through the veil, you tear a hole, and it's like shooting through a film. You ever see how it breaks apart, so forth and so on? Well, the quantum computers, all daisy-chained around the world, every big agency has ones, will all work together. They'll take all the power that they have, probably using the ITER machine that no one ever talks about. I did a video last year on it. And the quantum computer will stabilize this hole that's trying to open and close and all this. It'll stabilize it and allow these things entrance in and out, to and fro. Lucifer, where have you been? From going to and fro in Earth. All over again.
The Gothard Base Tunnel, which was opened on June 1st, 2016, is the longest and deepest rail tunnel in the world, spanning over 57 kilometers. It cost a whopping $11 billion to build and took 17 years to complete. An elaborate opening ceremony was performed for some very powerful people, like Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, President François Hollande of France, and the Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. The abstract operatic performance to mark the tunnel's opening, which was supposed to celebrate the ideals of European unification, was considered bizarre by most and satanic by many. The main actor in this surreal piece was a goat man who presided like Lucifer over the ceremony. Could this tunnel be connected, maybe even physically, with CERN? Follow me down. Before we get into the analysis of this ceremony, it is important to consider the date that the ceremony took place on. June 1st marks the time of year Saturn was closest to Earth in 2016. The name Satan is derived from Saturn. In ancient times, Saturn was thought to be the farthest planet from the Sun. The Sun represented light and goodness, and thus Saturn became associated with dark and evil. In paganism, Saturn was represented by the great god Pan, who was a horned creature, half goat and half man. Our modern depiction of Satan derives from this character. As the Gothard Tunnel ceremony begins, we see the actors dressed like workers, walking into the train station like robots. They are all different nationalities, sexes, ages, but nobody stands out. They are lost in a conglomerate. Their work uniforms could easily be mistaken for prison uniforms. They raise and lower their right hands in a passionless salute to the elite whom they work for, whom they build the tunnels for, who sit in the audience watching this very performance. Then the first train car enters. This feels reminiscent of the unsuspecting people who were herded like cattle to their demise in concentration camps during the Holocaust, obedient to authority until the point of death. At some point they realize they are headed for the slaughter, but it's too late and there's no way out. The workers have served their purpose, and now they are to be exterminated, their souls sacrificed. Next, the first train of passengers arrives. The passengers are portrayed as hypnotized under the spell of the Angel of Death. Her sexuality controls them, similar to how sex and advertising controls the masses. The public are like cattle, bred to create the next generation of workers who will be enslaved to the elite until their time comes to die. We, the masses, are allowed to become just smart enough to complete the task at hand, but kept too stupid to see beyond it. Our carnal pleasures are fed so we feel comfortable, while our minds and spirits are left to rot, and thus we lack the wisdom to see the doom that awaits us. Soon, her dance turns to one of destruction. The elite know they have us hooked, addicted to worldly pleasures, temporal success, and so they flaunt their agenda in our faces without fear of retaliation. Notice the Illuminati triangle on the backs of the workers. We are branded like cattle. They are breeding us, herding us, milking us for all we have until we're too old, weak, and useless for them, at which point they'll send us to the ritual slaughter. Just think about this concept on a microcosm. Take cows, for example. A handful of humans lord over a herd of cattle on a farm. The cows, however, having been born into this life of slavery, don't know anything better and eventually walk willingly into the slaughter, unaware of their impending doom. That said, I have seen instances in which one cow waiting to be slaughtered sees the cow in front of him or her being slaughtered, makes the mental connection that this will be its fate too, and then tries to break free. However, like the doomed workers aboard the train, it is too late. With the exception of a minority of people who refrain from eating animals due to religion or who are concerned with animal rights, the vast majority of the world is happy to comply with the slaughter of animals for human consumption because the taste brings us pleasure and the meat industry is a billion-dollar one. As long as the elite look at the masses like the masses look at cattle, wouldn't they be willing to do to us as we do to the animals? You may be thinking that people are smarter than cows, and they would never allow themselves to fall into this trap, but we already have. As humans, we are born into a material world. We grow up being told that it is necessary to work to survive, and we are even made to feel badly about ourselves morally if we think otherwise. Laziness carries a bad connotation, especially in capitalist societies like America and countries in the EU. So we are led to believe that in order to find happiness in life and to be a good citizen, we must work an artificial schedule, usually between the hours of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. For most people, their daily toil is something they don't like to do. It's just the way we have been given by our society and government to make ends meet. This cycle of work goes on until we are, say, 65 years old, at which point we are no longer of much use to the system. Most of us are physically and mentally ailing by that point thanks to a bad diet of GMOs and fluoride we've been kept on. However, the propaganda tells us that now we've earned relaxation. Now that we've sacrificed our best years to an invisible authority, we can finally rest, do nothing, change nothing, and wait for death. We are the cash cows for the corporations, the global elite. Another train comes into the station. This train holds the enlightened man. He is alone, apart from the crowd, one of the few in a sea of ignorance. He desperately tries to destroy the infrastructure, but cannot because it is too large for him to take on alone. He is imprisoned by chains. Like a man who understands the truth in a world of people telling him he is crazy, he looks driven mad. The train is led by ignorant workers who probably think of him as a misfit rather than a fellow human. We are leading each other by the hand into the furnace. Yet another train car comes in. The Alps have a long history of being filled with demons and mysterious creatures. These creatures and the rituals associated with them date back to pre-Christian times when pagan and Celtic beliefs filled the mountains. Illuminati ceremonies are based on these Celtic rituals and occur around the solstice, equinox, and other times of astrological significance. Celtic mythology says that knights went on a pilgrimage to a cave in Station Island where they would make a journey to the center of the earth. The name Station Island gives more significance to why this Celtic pagan ceremony is being held in a train station. Like the knights, the audience has made a pilgrimage to the Gothard tunnel to go on a journey to the center of the earth. Out of these bottomless pits emerge strange creatures. Here we see those creatures, ruled by who other than the Cernunnos, who is introduced with a fit of demonic laughter. Satan and his demons have been freed from inside the earth thanks to the door being opened by Switzerland, by scientists at CERN, and workers in the Gothard tunnel. In modern times, we have allowed science to replace myth and spirituality. The elite have done a great job at making it seem like the spiritual world is completely separate from the physical one. However, these realms interact, and what is done in one dimension can have repercussions in another. Most of the scientists at CERN are probably unaware of any type of satanic agenda and merely hell-bent, excuse the pun, on science for the sake of science, blissfully unaware of the consequences their actions have in the spiritual realm. The same goes for the tunnel workers. For most, the building of the tunnel is simply a job and is completely removed from anything related to opening doors for demonic energy. The elite, however, are well aware of how these planes of reality are connected, and that is why there are such close ties between, say, the President of the United States and the Pope. Before the ceremony started, it was blessed by a priest, a rabbi, and an imam, signifying a tie between religion, science, and art, just like the plaque on the Shiva statue at CERN points out. The interfaith ceremony also normalizes the New World Order idea of a unified global religion. Hitler is another example of a leader who is obsessed with world domination as well as Celtic mythology and so-called pseudoscientific experiments like 𝗥𝗲𝗺𝗍𝗍. But I digress. A pagan procession enters the station. At the front, a woman carries a sacrificial lamb. The cult of Dionysus, associated with the satyr, wine, ecstasy, and intoxication, have a tradition of sacrificing lambs to honor 𝗝𝗂𝗺𝗍𝗍, who guards the infernal gate. The lamb is also a symbol representing Jesus in Christianity, and thus this act can be interpreted as a sacrifice of Jesus now that the 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 has risen to power. The energy of the performers increases towards a point of ecstasy. We see the 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 lustfully dancing with a young woman, and the audience is bathed in a hellish blood-like red light. Then, there is a moment of calm. A defeated yodeler takes the stage. He is like a remnant of the past, out of place and time, bound to be destroyed by the evils of this modernity. His song is eerie and ghost-like, as if he is already dead, as if he is just a lost spirit wandering these mountains like he used to. The light comes on red again, and he is seen fleeing the station. The satanic mist rises again, and the trains start rolling in. The enlightened man from the beginning of the performance can be seen again, only this time he is fixing the infrastructure rather than trying to dismantle it. Is there nobody who can break free from the oppression? A national anthem of sorts starts playing. A parade rushes in. People are decked out in fancy costumes. Politicians wave, clergy members wave, the Pope waves. The mood is joyous, celebratory. Despite this scene being the complete opposite of the pagan procession that occurred only a few minutes ago, it is perhaps the scariest part of the entire act because it is exactly what we would expect the opening ceremony of a tunnel to look and feel like. The scene is like a sick parody of all those ribbon-cutting ceremonies and town parades that we have become so accustomed to seeing. The message here is clearly that the last half hour of horrors is the pagan reality that lies beneath the surface of your manicured happy-go-lucky televised reality. The Pope better not take off those glasses, lest he wants to reveal his demonic soul to the public. The yodeler reappears. He sets a chair out for himself and starts eating lunch in the middle of the celebration. He seems happy and content. This all looks very normal to him. A large truck drives up behind him and starts beeping for him to move out of the way. The truck has an antlered skull attached to the front of it, but it is decorated so as not to look so evil. This is another clear meta symbol of how evil is hidden beneath the facade of celebrations such as this one, the Gothard tunnel ceremony the audience is seeing. The celebration unfolding on stage is a celebration within a celebration, all which reduced to the reality of a pagan ritual. The man blocking this giant truck of oppression, bringing the parade to a halt, also brings to mind Tank Man, the protester who stood in front of Chinese tanks on June 5th, 1989, after the Chinese government suppressed the Tiananmen Square protests. This is particularly interesting because Tank Man is often used as an example of the Mandela effect. Many people have a clear memory of seeing a video of Tank Man being run over. However, the video that exists now shows otherwise. CERN has been blamed for creating the Mandela effect and other space-time manipulations. The parade descends into a sort of waltz, the public, the authority, and Satan all intermingled dancing together. A woman wears a false head indicative of Satan's deception, and a large red cloak of evil that envelops all of those below her. It seems like the demons have been integrated into our world. Their evil nature, which robs us of our humanity, has become mainstream and accepted as we remain drunk on blood, thinking we are happy.
Why is it that everything had to become digital? Why is it that television, they had to give out digital boxes to everybody? Because that will allow these things entrance into everyone's home, into every single solitary residence, every hovel, every hut, everywhere. The robotics and the transhumanist agenda is for the demonic entities that no longer have a physical form. The fallen angels, the Nephilim, I should say, they will be able to incarnate their spiritual being into these robotic vessels. And that's where men's hearts will fail from fear comes into play, because people are going to be so horrified. And I believe that the chemtrailing, the geoengineering, the solar remediation, the sky is totally gray. It has been from Massachusetts. It's not raining, it's not weather, it's just gray. The sun is just peeking out now, but it's been blotted out. They're doing this statewide. It's not just in your neighborhood, it's not just in your town. I've driven from state to state to state, the same exact sky, because they're doing it worldwide. I believe that that will help them make entry here even easier. A bald eagle. Oh my. A bald eagle just soaring right above me. How amazing is that? At any rate, my video made sense. That's pretty much everything you need to know in a nutshell without having to go to a convention or buy a book.
The next part of the ceremony begins outside and follows more or less the same narrative. Workers are hoisted up the projected rocky wall, only to fall back down to their demise, driving home the idea that their lives are expendable. The rock wall finally collapses completely as the tunnel boring machine used to carve out the Gothard base tunnel breaks through. 8 workers' bodies are superimposed over the tunnel boring machine, making it look very similar to the Atlas detector at the LHC in CERN. Many have speculated that this device at CERN is actually a stargate or a portal that allows interdimensional travel, using the image of the tunnel boring machine and the tunnel workers to form another stargate or portal symbolizes the dimensional door opened at the Gothard base. On the surface, the tunnel is a means of physical transportation, but the deeper objective of the Gothard base tunnel lies in opening a passageway to another dimension, an opening to the underworld. Claims of portals to other dimensions have existed since ancient times. One example can be found in Peru. The Gate of the Gods is a cutout in the giant rock near Lake Titicaca. According to legend, the first priest of the Incas activated a portal here using a golden disc that fell from the sky. Shamans witnessing the event explained that the man simply disappeared into the rock. He was never seen again. A circular impression can be seen in the rock, and many believe this is where the golden disc was placed to activate the Stargate. Another ancient portal is claimed to be beneath the temple of Seti I in Egypt. Inside the temple, strange hieroglyphics resembling a modern-day helicopter, spaceship, and boat can be found, suggesting possible time travel. Interestingly, many of the boats said to carry souls from this life to the afterlife, which are painted on ancient Egyptian temples, resemble the shape scientists used to describe wormholes. Michael Schratt, a U.S. military aerospace historian and pilot, claimed that in 2003, the site was used to send an ET visitor home. Ben Rich, the former Lockheed Skunk Works director, once said, "We now have the technology to bring ET home." The Mutual UFO Network International Director Jan Harzen was dissatisfied with the abstractness of Rich's statement and inquired further.
He said, "Well, let me ask you, how does ESP work?" And I said, "I don't know, all points in space and time are connected." He looked at me and said, "That's how it works." He turned around and walked out of the room.
The Egyptian connection adds significance to the pyramids illustrated on the backs of the workers' jackets. Stargates and portals are not merely something that exists in the realm of science fiction or mythical stories. NASA describes these entrances and exits to wormholes as X-points, or electron diffusion regions. They occur in places where the magnetic field of the Earth connects with the magnetic field of, say, the Sun. When this happens, an uninterrupted path opens. These gateways open and close dozens of times a day, and can result in the flow of energetic particles which are responsible for heating the upper atmosphere, geomagnetic storms, and polar auroras. When speaking of extra dimensions, CERN's own Sergio Bertolucci says, "Out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it." Once the rocks fall away and the portal has been opened, we see the workers jerk their bodies as if they are possessed. The demonic energy sealed behind the mountains has been released like the evils from Pandora's box and has infiltrated the souls of the workers, who begin to strip and spar with each other before descending into an orgiastic dance. The ritual orgy is very important in Satanism. Demonic entities feed like vampires on energy. When we are addicted to food, drugs, sex, anything that steals energy away from us, we can become victims, easily controlled and manipulated by those forces stealing our energy. The workers have become corrupted and are essentially invoking the devil. This is a microcosm of what is happening on a global scale as humanity gradually gives away all of its energy to dark entities like the global elite who are ushering in a new world order under false pretenses. Be wary when you hear governments or elite individuals using phrases like humanitarian act, unification, or freedom when describing policy goals. On the video screen, we see workers falling to their death down a bottomless pit. Another way to think about a bottomless pit is a wormhole to another dimension, a tunnel to the underworld. And then, 3 ghosts rise from the pit. A giant eyeball like the Illuminati's all-seeing eye watches over the ceremony as the stripped workers return, now as ghosts, draped in veils. We have been sacrificed, our energy used to usher in Satan's rule. The face of the Cernunnos appears on the screen. 3 scarab beetles rise. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the scarab beetle is associated with the solar god 𝗓𝗄𝗄, who pushes the sun across the sky as a beetle pushes a ball of dung. During the night, the sun is believed to be rolled through the other realm. Therefore, the god 𝗓𝗄𝗄 and scarab imagery represents creation, rebirth, and transmigration of the soul. In this ceremony, the souls of the workers have been reincarnated as ghosts of the underworld. The backs of the scarabs have a skull designed on them, which further insinuates that in this reality, we are more likely to be reborn as the living dead than anything human. A ring of eyes watches over the performance. Some of the eyes seem drugged, nearly asleep, while others seem afraid, much like the eyes of the workers who are either ignorant and thus metaphorically asleep, or wide awake in terror. The eyes, especially the unblinking eye in the center, are also reminiscent of the Illuminati's all-seeing eye, which presides over all good and bad, much like Shiva in Hinduism. The all-seeing eye, such as depicted on the back of the $1 bill, comes from the Eye of Horus. Horus is said in ancient Egyptian mythology to be the sky, the sun his right eye, and the moon his left. The Eye of Horus, or sometimes Wadjat, another powerful solar god, represents royal power given from deities. Considering the earthly atrocities government elites are willing to commit, it seems that they must believe in a divine right to rule, and so the Eye of Horus is a perfect representation of their theory, or rationalization. This image of an eye of ultimate control, or more specifically a ring of eyes, also has biblical roots, such as in Ezekiel 1:18, which speaks of wheels covered in eyes representing God's ultimate awareness over good and evil and ultimate control over nature. The global elite obviously emulate this type of knowledge and power, as it is shown through their attempts in institutions like CERN to control and alter the nature of reality. Once again, the all-seeing eye is a perfect symbol to represent their agenda. The screeches of one of the spirits can be heard as the Cernunnos brutally rapes her. He then proceeds to die in a grand inversion of the crucifixion, a satanic mockery of the death of Jesus Christ. His disciples stand in back of him, laughing instead of wailing. We see an upside-down tree of life playing in the background as the procession enters in what looks like a black mass, a grand inversion. The time of modernism is here, man fused with the machine, a time of technological sexuality, transhumanism. Much like part 1, a celebration ensues. Politicians stand with townspeople, workers, and the devil. They move in slow motion, referring again to CERN's manipulation of time, and then snap back to normal movement, revealing that it is not they who are in control of their actions, their perceptions of time. Clocks move back and forth out of time. The lady in red, draped in blood, draped in evil, takes center stage. Pregnant with the spawn of Satan, she labors in childbirth until eventually bearing the Antichrist, ushering in a new age, an age that flips Christianity on its head. The demons move into the audience, taunting the public, connecting this show with reality. The end of the performance commences with the actors bowing to the clock, honoring time, the unnatural structure. The physical train arrives on time, again driving home the message that this ceremony is all about time, its manipulation and creation. It's CERN's manipulation of time and the Gothard tunnel's stress on the importance of an artificial reality which holds us captive. Aside from the dark spiritual sides of these Swiss portals, there are many from the scientific community who also have doubts about CERN in terms of the physical safety to our planet. Others have spoken out about the railway, its destruction of nature, and its invitation of big business to a previously pristine area. Lawsuits have been filed against CERN in fear of them creating black holes, ripping a hole in the time-space continuum, and destroying the Earth. But luckily, this hasn't happened yet.
Now I can already hear it. People are thinking, he believes in the globe Earth, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Just take the global model and overlay it with CERN isn't trying to reconnect to Saturn or trying to recreate a black hole. CERN is trying to kick a hole through the veil, the firmament, the dome, whatever you want to call it. Don't get stuck in the minutia.
CERN have destroyed this planet in another dimension, an alternative reality? Just look at the music video they released in 2014 to Pharrell's song Happy. In it, we see a physicist wearing two signs, one reading Bond number 1, the other Mandela. The first James Bond actor from Casino Royale, which came out in 1954, the year that also marks CERN's opening, was Barry Nelson. Combine those names and you get Nelson Mandela. Then jump to the end of the video where you see the number 4664 on one side of the screen and the number 9 on the other. If we flip the number 9, as so often happens in numerology related to Satanism, we get another 6. Bring these together and we form 46664, which was Nelson Mandela's prison number, and subsequently the AIDS charity concert honoring Mandela, which featured many Illuminati celebrities. Furthermore, the number 46664 itself is peculiar because besides containing 666, the mark of the beast, which it does contain, many remember the number originally being 4664 until it seemed to mysteriously disappear to 46664. Could this separated inverted 6 be yet another symbol alluding to CERN's manipulation of this reality? In the quantum reality in which we live, where an infinite number of parallel universes could exist, differing from each other only in the most minute aspects, even something as minute as 4664 versus 46664 in relation to Nelson Mandela, it seems possible that a facility like CERN, which is conducting experiments with such vast amounts of energy, could develop the ability to merge those parallel universes. We would probably never even notice a difference unless something which affected our collective memory was altered, because we could then find external validation in our belief that a shift had occurred from our fellow humans, or rabbits. Could the work at CERN be a continuation of Nazi science experiments which were searching for keys with which to control the laws of physics so those in charge could rule as gods over the Earth? There are still many unanswered questions relating to CERN and their scientific agenda. Please let me know in the comments if you have any information on CERN's latest breakthroughs and what they could mean. What have you experienced as a result of the Mandela effect? I would like to begin compiling a list of anomalies, and since the differences from one parallel universe to another may be so small they won't appear on the public radar, you sharing your personal moments of seeing through the matrix will help me create a more in-depth analysis of the phenomenon.
Here at USLHC. It's a YouTube site, and this video is from November 3rd, 2014. And it's funny because I've watched this video several times, but there's a lot of things in here I didn't notice. I saw this back when it was new. I didn't see it recently. But watch this video. I'm going to play this at fast speed so I don't get a copyright hit, but watch this.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
They're showing that they're all just fun, wacky, carefree youths working over there at the LHC in Sweden. But there's really funny things you just cannot explain away that are in here, like that little question mark, for instance. And apparently everybody there is attractive and very, very happy. I'm also noticing that, which is odd.
Notice the number 32. Now, that's just a coincidence, right? No big deal. And then the number 33, which is just odd because those are the two highest degrees you can receive in Freemasonry. It's just odd. They don't have a number 31 or a number 34, just 32 and 33. Just really odd, right? LHCP, Large Hadron Collider, Particle Collider, yeah? As above, so below. You know what I mean? Somebody framed this shot and put this in here. These guys are conveying a large message. But it gets worse. I had to replay this a little bit because that guy looks just like Ron Johnson right there, actually. So that's odd. And they're showing the explosions and all this other stuff, and this guy's just stuck in the the photon stream, so that's fine. It's all good. Yup. They're dancing away, blah, blah, blah. They're outside the collider. You know, apparently they're not doing a mock ritual today, but they're just dancing around, so it's all good. So why am I even showing you this? Because this is from 2014. This is from years ago. There it is, right there. You see what this guy's holding on his lap? The Mandela effect. He's holding it on his lap. It's right there. It was right there in plain sight the whole time. These guys were messing with us. Because this is pre-Mandela effect. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? You know what I'm saying? And then there's one other really funny thing. I put that video up the other day that I caught on the sunset. Remember, with a disc inside of the sun? Well, check it out. The next day, I interviewed 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗏𝗏 on CERN. So while I'm waiting for Anthony to come around, I check out CERN's website, and this is what I find. I click on CERN's homepage, and not only do they have exactly what I was videotaping the night before on CERN. Well, listen, this is my reaction the minute I found it.
This is CERN's homepage on the 12th of September 2016. It appears to be a drawing or a painting or a representation of the sun with a disc in the middle of it. This is very odd. I've never seen this on CERN's website ever. Ever. I don't know what to make of this.
It's really odd, right? So it's really odd. And as I'm looking at it, I tell 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗏𝗏, and while I'm talking to him via Skype, he goes to it. You can hear it in the video. He clicks on CERN and doesn't see anything like what I'm seeing. But the craziness doesn't stop there. I put up the video where 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗏 talks about CERN and the Mandela effect, and then this is what happens. This is what I get in my Yahoo mail. This shows up in my email. So this is just like a little message I'm saying. I know I'm not trying to sound paranoid, but we know for a fact they're watching us. Look at how my name ended up everywhere during that CERN deal. Remember? Montegraph goes after Hillary Clinton, ends up everywhere, including CNN. You know what I mean? These guys are watching us. Not only that, they're referring to us. But Depend is one of the Mandela effect deals. Hawaiian girl Beth did a video where she calls Depends live, and they deny that it was ever called Depends. It was always Depend, which is absolute bullshit.